Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to And Justice for All. My name is Britt Eskridge. I'll be your host. And today we have a very serious topic to discuss. It's a heartbreaking topic. We're going to talk about the genocide taking place in the Middle East right now, in Gaza. At the intentional starvation and systematic murder of the Palestinian people at the hands of the Israeli government and their military forces, the IDF, or Israeli Defense Forces. That's been a war that's been waging on for quite some time. You know, ever since the Israeli state was established in 1948 after World War II, which was in itself absurd and completely messed up for them to do, because the Palestinians occupied that land. They've been there for hundreds of years, some of them thousands of years. And, because the Israelis, after the war, we've been so persecuted, and Jerusalem is our land, and blah, 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 They whine and cry. That's all I've ever heard about Israel. Not Jews now. I'm not being racist. I have nothing against Jews. They're some wonderful people. But they're giving Jews a bad name in Israel. The Israeli government are lunatics. They're out of control. They have lost their way. They've become the most disgusting, evil, dishonest, violent, just government of its lunacy, what they're doing. But anyway, there's a genocide taking place, and so what we're going to talk about today is that genocide and the starvation, actually. So they've set up these checkpoints. So they've completely annihilated the Gaza Strip, the state of Gaza, the country of Gaza, which sits right on the Mediterranean to the west of Israel. And it is in rubble. It looks like a nuclear bomb went off there. The entire country is decimated. It's annihilated. There's nothing. Everything is piled up, just a pile of stones. It looks like a gravel driveway. If you fly over from an aerial view, it's insane. And they've driven them to the south of the country, and they've set up these checkpoints, these humanitarian aid distribution checkpoints, because the 59,000 Palestinians who have lost their lives since they started this campaign, their most recent campaign against the Palestinians, when they bombed the Palestinians, that it was an offensive measure, not a defensive measure. It should be called the Israeli Offense Force. It's not the Defense Forces, because they're the ones that bomb first every single time, with some justification. Oh, we didn't feel safe, or Hamas. The country, Gaza elected Hamas as their government officials themselves. The people elected them. So Hamas was just killing and murdering. No babies in the ovens. All that propaganda is lies from the Israeli government. So they can continue to do whatever they want to these people, while the rest of the world turns a blind eye and just thinks, oh, well, they're defending themselves, against these evil people. But that's not the case, because the Palestinian people, the majority are women and children. Out of the 59,000 civilians that have lost their lives, and now there may have been some Hamas fighters that lost their lives, I'm sure. But most of these 59,000 were women and children. Matter of fact, 20,000 or so were actually children. Okay? There's been over 1,000 children in the past few months killed that were under 1 year old. I believe just the other day, a couple of weeks ago, a young girl was, whose body was found. She starved to death. She weighed 4 pounds. That's bad when your weight is below your age number. 6-year-old girl weighs 4 pounds. That's, I mean, it's hard to discuss. You know, it's incomprehensible, the evil that's being perpetrated by this government. Okay, so they set up these checkpoints. Now, normally, which that's a war crime. It's against the Geneva Convention to distribute humanitarian aid in an active combat zone, which there are active live combat operations being carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces in these zones as we speak, where they have barbed wire set up, you know, keeping these people at bay, and they have military personnel distributing distributing this aid. They're American contractors who used to be special forces, you know, military personnel, and the Israeli Defense Forces are the people who are in charge of distributing this aid for the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Okay, that is who is tasked with distributing the humanitarian aid, right? Because the United Nations normally comes in and will, you know, distribute food. They're equipped to do that. The United Nations. You're talking about 1.5 million people who have to eat 3 times a day. That's a lot of food. You're getting a lot of water, a lot of medicine. These people are ripped and torn apart. They're bloody pulps from all this war. And so the United Nations is equipped to deal with this, you know, in such a capacity. You know, they have the money, the means, and they're professionals. They've done this for years. They've been around for, 80 years now they've been doing this. The GHF has just begun, you know, recently. And who is it? They're a private contractor. And guess who their client is? The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. So the same people that are murdering, bombing, raping. By the way, they had a protest because they were raping Palestinian prisoners who they captured and they're keeping captive. They were raping. There was gang rape. A man was being gang raped by the Israeli Defense Forces on video, and they broadcast the video. They're not even attempting to conceal their war crimes. And there was some protest. You know, people were like, "Oh, you can't do that. What the fuck?" Okay, well, then a mass protest began in Israel for the right to rape. The right to rape. Yeah, you heard that right. The right to rape. You understand what's going on here? If there's something wrong with the collective mentality of the entire country, of the population in Israel, if that's even a notion, I mean, this is absurd. This is fucking ridiculous. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? A right to rape. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so the same people who are killing these people are the same people who hired the humanitarian aid. Oh, what could possibly fucking go wrong with that? Oh yeah, no, we won't starve them to death. We won't use that humanitarian aid to lure them to the distribution site and then shoot the shit out of them with our assault rifles and our tanks. They literally fire tank rounds from the main gun of the tank into the crowds of starving, skinny women and children, civilians. unarmed, begging for food with their bowls. I'm going to show you some clips in a little while, and it's going to be very disturbing. Please don't have your children present. While it's hard enough for an adult, seasoned combat veteran, not myself. I don't mean to say I'm not a combat veteran, but I've seen many horrific things, and this is definitely the most horrific thing I could ever imagine. They're worse than the Germans. Okay? So they're distributing this aid, which obviously they've convinced, and Donald Trump, who's actually paying for it. Well, our tax dollars are paying for it. Donald Trump is the one who's deciding. There's a lot of protests going on. Trying to cut the funding to Israel. But every time anybody wants to do anything to Israel, cut their funding. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. Well, if being against starving people to death, little children starving to death, skin and bones, literally watching them starve to death and picking them off, shooting them for fun, luring them in with food, if that's anti-Semitic, then I guess I'm just a fucking anti-Semitic motherfucker. And I don't give a fuck who don't like that. And again, it's not the Jewish people. It's not the Jewish people. There's so many Jews. There's so many great Jewish people, wonderful American Jews, Israeli Jews, Jews all over the world that are rallying against this, who are completely against this, utterly disgusted, appalled at what's going on over there. The entire world is. The entire world is watching. But what can we do about it? That's the main question. So we're going to try to come up with some solutions and ideas, of how we can, get this out to the public more, how we can stir the minds of the people and light a fire under the asses of Americans, because, in this world, Americans can get things done. If the entire country of America wants something to happen, it's going to happen. Look at what happened with Iraq. Yeah, when the World Trade Centers came down, it didn't matter who the fuck. Bush could have said that, you know what I'm saying, that Charlie Brown did it, and we were everybody's gonna go after peanuts, you know what I mean? Where the fuck is Charlie Brown? Nobody cared. They were just angry, and they wanted something to happen. They wanted revenge, and they wanted vengeance because it was so horrific, But when it's happening to the Palestinian people, starving to death, oh, well, they're terrorists, they're Muslims. Who cares? Israel, they're doing it. Well, look, Israel, they were in the Holocaust, and the Germans starved. Look at what happened. What happened? What did Germany, the Nazis, do to the Jews? Systematically murdered them, set up death camps, concentration camps where they starved to death. How many of you have seen videos of the Holocaust where they were emaciated? They were literally starved to death. They were skin and bone. Their asshole was sticking out further than their ass cheeks. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. Grown men like walking skeletons, literally. I don't know how they were still alive. That's exactly what the Palestinian little children, that's what they look like in Gaza. And it's all over the news. You can look everywhere. Look up the Young Turks, who I endorse. Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, JR. Man, I love you guys. That's a progressive news channel and podcast. And I encourage everyone here that's listening and paying attention to check out the Young Turks. And to get some honest, non-biased. It's hard to be non-biased against the Israelis. But if that's what you even call biased. It's just called being a moral human. You know, that it's immoral. It's sickening. It's disturbing. It's disgusting. It's pure, unadulterated evil. What they are doing to the Palestinians, the Israelis, and I'm fucking on fire about it. I'm pissed off and I'm mad, and that's why I'm doing this podcast, so I can get the message, to get the information out to the public who don't know. I come from a small town in Tennessee where, you know, no offense, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, where people don't know shit, don't have a fucking clue. All they know is what Fox News tells them, and that makes you the most ignorant people on the planet if you listen to Fox News. Period. CNN, Fox News, they're all endorsed. Their biggest donors are AIPAC. Who owns AIPAC? I'll give you one guess. Israel. Who's going to go against their biggest donors? Their biggest endorsers, their lobbyists. Who's going to go against the people giving them the biggest check, the most money? Well, probably nobody in this day and age, because nobody gives a fuck about anybody else. If anybody gave a fuck, this wouldn't be happening in the first place. It would have never got this far. They literally have a concentration camp going on. They have the people of Gaza concentrated in an area of Gaza so small compared to the population, compared to their numbers. It would be like, in the state of Florida, it would be like saying everybody, just like the Green Beret, Anthony Aguilar. He's a Green Beret, former Green Beret lieutenant colonel, who actually took a job working for the GHF Foundation and went over there and was so disgusted by what he saw. I don't think he lasted but a couple of weeks. You know, he saw him killing and murdering innocent people. It's all over the internet. You should check it out. He's blew the whistle. You know, he came back and he breathed. He said, "No, I can't fucking do this." He came back and he's telling it like it is. He spilled the beans. He exposed it. You know what's going on over there, and it's just it's so compelling what he had to say. It's just almost it's hard to wrap your mind around, but it's true, and it's really happening. It's happening in real time. But he said it would be like because I've never been to Gaza. You know, so he has no reason to lie. You know, he's not doing this writing a book. He's not doing this for fame. Unfortunately, he has no political aspirations at all. Affiliations, nothing. He was enjoying his retirement when they called him, his ex-special forces, so they wanted him to come on board. They thought he was going to keep his mouth shut because they offered him so much money. But that's no price on immorality. You couldn't buy that man's morals. And I respect that. Man's got integrity. He's got balls. He's a good man. He's righteous. You know, because that's disgusting what's going on there. Thanks to him, the word has definitely got out more than it ever would have thus far. Okay, so it would be like if the state of Florida, if everybody, the population of the state of Florida, was surrounded, the whole state was surrounded by barbed wire tanks and evil soldiers with automatic rifles. You can't go anywhere outside there. They're going to murder you. And the only place, there was no food, the entire state of Florida was reduced to rubble. Okay? And the only place to get food was from the same people that were terrorizing you, that reduced your country to rubble and was murdering you and your children. They were distributing food in Key West. Imagine the population of Florida having to converge in Key West, all at the same time, and fight over and try and stand in line to get a bowl of rice, dry rice, with no water to even cook the shit. Imagine that. Imagine that. And when you got there, instead of getting a bowl of rice, they shoot at you. Come on. We got to do better than this in this world. This is disgusting behavior. This is exactly what the Nazis did. Exactly. I'm talking textbook. This is genocide, ethnic cleansing 101. That's exactly what it is. You know, I've had the numbers. I've got the numbers here. You know, for how many children, women, children, days, time. We don't even need that. You know, I don't even. It doesn't matter. 59,000. Is that not enough? You know, for the people to wake up, and we're paying for it. Donald Trump just sent over what? 500 million more dollars? $500 million. We've given Israel $300 billion. $300 billion. They still want more. And they want us to fight the war. They want us to come assist them in this genocide. They want American boots on the ground. Because they want to take Iran. They've already got the plan. It's all about land. They just want to steal their land. They think it's their God-given right. From the Nile to the Euphrates is what they want. You're talking about they're to take over Syria, Iraq, Lebanon. The Nile's in Egypt, for God's sakes. So the West Bank, they want to annex. Now, they're not even trying to hide this. They've already came out and said, yes, we have plans to annex the West Bank and Gaza. And just recently they said, yeah, they showed a map of the Greater Israel. It's called the Greater Israel Project. They've been expanding their borders. See, the Palestinian people were inhabited Gaza in 1948 when the United Nations got together and said, well, we're going to give the Jews a country of their own because they don't have one. So they gave them what is today modern-day Israel, surrounding Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, all that. But that wasn't their land. There were people living there. It wasn't like people think, oh, well, they made Israel a state. Like it was just an empty land. It was just vacant, like for rent, for lease. Look, we got a whole country over here in the middle of the Middle East, the Arab world, and then we're going to, yeah, that's their land. Shit, they drove them from their homes like cattle with bombs and guns. Innocent people who lived there for hundreds of years, women, children, families. And they established the state of Israel. And nobody said anything because of what just happened to them during the Holocaust. Everybody had a guilty conscience, or this sympathy for them. Oh my God, it was terrible. It was terrible what happened to them in the Holocaust. I'm not condoning that. No, that was horrible. But that does not give them the right to do it to anybody else, to do it themselves. And they're doing it to the Palestinian people. And the Palestinian has not done shit to the Jews. They were just living in their world, and all of a sudden, here comes, what the fuck? Here comes these Jews taking over our country. And they've continued to do that since. And they've continued to expand their borders a little bit. And they're backed by U.S. money. They're backed by U.S. weapons. They're backed by U.S. muscle. Nobody says shit. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. If anybody doesn't know out there what anti-Semitic means, it's a term that's used as someone to label someone who is racist against Jews. Okay? which you've racialized a religion. Judaism was a religion, not a race, for one. So now, which they snuck in there. How they get away with that, I don't know. Oh, we're Jews. You mean you practice Jewish religion? Judaism is a religion. Race. So do you understand what I mean by why I mentioned that? What that implies? That implies, because they think, oh, they're chosen people by God. That implies what? They are superior to the rest of us, to other races. It's racial supremacy. Jewish supremacy. Now, what was the concept of the Nazi Party? The Aryan race. Racial superiority. They believed that the Aryan race was superior to every other race on the planet. Blue-eyed, blonde hair. Remember? Yeah. And they hated the Jews. They called them subhuman animals. They don't deserve food or whatever. They didn't care. Subhuman. Literally. It's almost like it's deja vu for sure. But if you held a mirror up in front of Prime Minister Netanyahu's face, you might see a little weird little broom mustache. He's looking at Adolf Hitler himself. I mean, he's no better. I think he's worse than Adolf Hitler personally because of history. Because this was done to his people. And for him to turn around and do the exact same horrific, evil bullshit to some helpless, innocent people, his neighbors, for God's sake, is beyond my comprehension. I can't. Something he needs to bomb himself. He needs to go away. He needs to, I don't want to say this, I don't want to say what I'm thinking, but everybody knows what I'm thinking. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there thinking what I'm thinking needs to happen to Netanyahu. Piece of shit is what he is. But that's what he's doing. The Jewish people, Israelites, are God's chosen people. They get to take over countries at will. That's God. Their God-given right. God gave them that land. Well, what about the fucking people already living there? Did God tell you to starve them to death, to bomb them to death, to shoot them to death, to rape them, to do the most evil, horrific things to them and drive them out of their land? Did he tell you that, Netanyahu? In some secret conference? Because I'm a very spiritual man. I am a Muslim, by the way. So I'm very well versed in theology. I know all about Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, atheism, agnosticism. Okay? Because to be honest, I've been in some of those before. I found Islam, many years ago, and that was for me. It was very peaceful, and all this Islamophobes, all the Muslims that want to bomb and kill everybody. Are you kidding me? And the Jewish people, the Israelites, they're just, everything just happens to us. Please help us. We should be protected like golden eggs. That is the most ass fucking backwards bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Because of all this propaganda and this mainstream fucking media that tells you nothing but fucking lies. Fox, dude, come on. Are you fucking kidding me? Who the fuck? I can't believe it. What I can't comprehend is the fact that there are still people ignorant enough to believe anything that comes out of their mouth. I can't believe they still have a fucking news show. I mean, they got so much money, they could probably broadcast it without a single viewer for the rest of the time this world is in existence, you know what I mean? But I can't believe that people still believe them. It's just ridiculous. They've lied on so many occasions, came out and admitted it. When they get caught, you know, they come up with some justification, whatever. You know, and it's all the same. You know, MSNBC, CNN, they all have their differences, but they're all full of shit. They all spew propaganda. When it comes to Israel, at least, they tell nothing but lies. They spew propaganda. You in Israel propaganda. I don't want to keep saying Jewish propaganda, but you know, now I'm an anti-Semite. I'm anti-Semitic. I'm an anti-Semite. I hate Jews and all this kind of shit. Even though we all know that's not the case. Wonderful Jews out there that I have the privilege of knowing and loving. They're friends of mine. One Jews that I admire, respect, you know, in America. Like, there's so many speaking out. Like, I don't think the majority of the Jewish population, if I had to guess, I mean, maybe I might be wrong, but I wouldn't think so because just a basic moral compass for any human being. I mean, there's probably serial killers sitting in prison going, what the fuck are they doing over there? Look at these starving kids, man. I've met some evil motherfuckers in my life, and I don't know very many people that could get on board with this, that could agree with this. You know, that wouldn't be moved in some way or disturbed or just disgusted. You know, of course, there's some sociopathic people out there who are just indifferent. Just don't give a fuck. It's not on your front porch, not your front yard, then it doesn't matter. Then they don't care. Selfish people, you know, who don't care about it. Well, what can I do about it? You know, you can say something, you can do something. There's always something you can do. If everyone, it's about unity, people. It's about unity. It's about waking the fuck up and coming together as a country and saying, we're not going to put up with this shit. Hey, Trump, you know, I'll give you an example of how ridiculous things are going. Nobody thinks so. Rosie O'Donnell. Everybody knows who Rosie O'Donnell is. Comedian, sitcom star, Roseanne. Okay, she's been speaking out against Trump since he took office, I believe on the first term, you know, and she's very vocal and critical of Donald Trump. Okay, well, she moved to Ireland, according to her, because she can't deal with Trump. So, fuck Trump. I hate him. He's just a sexual abusing, lying piece of shit. Her word. Now, I'm quoting her. I don't have the quote. I can pull it up, but I don't think you guys need to trust me on this. You give him help. Okay, well, Trump says in response to her criticism, oh, well, if she wants to she's a threat to humanity and the nation, the country, and I'm thinking very hard of revoking her citizenship. And everybody's like going, oh man, Trump's he's about to revoke Rose's citizenship. Man, what the hell? Man, that's crazy. You can't fucking revoke somebody's citizenship. She was born in the United States of America. Why the fuck would anybody even entertain? Wait a second. Are we a country whose people decides who runs the government? Who do we put in government? Or are we a country whose government decides who its people are? No, we're a country who decides who its government is. We decide. We the fucking people. Not the other way around. You don't decide who can stay in this country and who the fuck can't. If we're United States citizens, you've already proved that you how you feel about anybody that's not a U.S. citizen. Let me tell you, we all know that. God forbid. Ice raids, alligator, fucking Alcatraz. Are you kidding me? What the fuck is wrong, people? It's an unprecedented amount of evil encompassing the globe right now as we speak. On a mass scale, on a worldwide, monumental scale. There's never been this bad. I don't believe that Babylon back in the day, even in the Roman era, the Persian era, I don't believe it was ever this bad. Because there wasn't technology to go. There wasn't the instant connection of internet, and FaceTime and reaching everybody. The entire world is watching this horror. There's a lot of shit going on back then, and not everybody knew about it. So you couldn't say, you could say, hey, everybody had an excuse. Well, we didn't fucking know that it was going on. We didn't know that all these people were starving to death. We didn't know that Israel was starving hundreds of thousands of people to death, literally women and children. Or we would have stopped it. But everybody knows, the entire fucking world is informed, knows about this. Now that they know about it, in the depth, in the scope of what I've just told you, of how I know it, because I've looked into it, because I'm concerned, because I'm a human being, yes, I was compelled to research this, look into it, yes, because I want to do something about it. Because I love humanity. I love life. I value life. I love children and women. I love people, good people. That's the beauty of life, relationships and, and friends and having and joy and experiences with other people. What, somebody starved you to death? Come on, man, I'm starving to death. Little kids? What if somebody, you parents out there, if the school came to your house, teachers, and said, hey, what's going on? Little Johnny is not looking good. He lost a lot of weight. How's he been eating? Oh, well, I feed him every Tuesday. Doing great. I even shoot bullets over his head and at his ankles to get him to run to the fucking school faster, so he's not late. Because by the way, the Israeli Defense Forces, that's how they get them to turn left when they're going to, they're in the barbed wire on each side, so they can't go this way, that way, going into the distribution centers. So when they get to a certain point, walking kilometers now, half a mile, and then have to turn left to get them to move faster, to show them how to turn. They're shooting shooting bullets over their head, spraying them with pepper spray, and throwing stun grenades in on them. Why not just put up a fucking sign that says, go left? They said, oh, that costs too much money. It costs too much money to put up a sign. But it doesn't cost any money. Was it $1 something per bullet? Per round? Oh, I forgot. America's paying for those bullets. They're not going to pay for a fucking sign, though. Because you got to pay for your own fucking sign. Israel's not willing to do that. So, so let's chop them up. All right? You get what I'm saying? No. So they come there to little Johnny and he's, I feed him every Tuesday. Children's service is going to be at your fucking house that night. And they're going to take little Johnny and put him in a home where he's, put him in a place where you can give him some food, whatever. They're going to arrest your fucking ass and charge you with child neglect, child abuse. You're no longer going to be a parent. But we still allow the IDF, the Israeli government, to control the distribution of food to the very people that it's been waging war against. For the last 70 years. This is unacceptable. This is it's a great sin in the eyes of mankind and in the eyes of God. I think even the devil's disgusted with Israel at this point. Like, it's gotten insane. So, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to I'm going to show you some videos. I'm going to show you a few clips of what's going on over there. And let me warn you, it's not pretty. It's disturbing. So, get your anxiety medication ready, because you might need it after this. It is bad. It's bad. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We will be right back after a short commercial break. Remember to subscribe to the link below. Join my page, Injustice for All. Okay? We're going to discuss a wide range of topics and, current affairs. It's not always going to be about politics or, things like that. I don't think this is going to be a political show in any kind of way. We're going to talk about sobriety, sometime, recovery, which I believe is very important. And it's becoming a trend now to get sober, which I think is just beautiful. It's so awesome. Most trends are, just pointless. They're just a waste of time, just bullshit. Whatever, skinny jeans or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Start a trend that's productive. You know what I'm saying? It actually was you can call progress. And so sobriety and recovery is one of the things we'll be talking about. I'm a recovering alcoholic myself, and so I want to touch on that as often as I can, in between these current affairs going on. We're going to discuss this a lot, but we're going to keep our eyes open. We're going to keep fixed on this genocide going on in Gaza for now, because I think that's very important. It's hard to ignore. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I have these images of these starving children in my mind. I can't get it out of my mind. I can't sleep at night. I feel so compelled to do something about it. And I can't just fly to Gaza and start shooting Israelis, which I wish I could. But this is the best way I could think to go about trying to make a difference, is to get some information out there to people who may or may not have heard about what's going on, and share some facts and details with you so you're better informed. And hopefully it makes a little bit of a difference. One person at a time, a trickle effect. Hopefully eventually the world will get tired of this and stand up all at once, unified, and say, hey, this shit's going to stop, because it's evil. It's unacceptable. The Holocaust. Israel has created their own Holocaust against the Palestinian people. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will continue our discussion on the genocide in Gaza.